Good evening, Toastmasters, esteemed guests, and all you beautiful souls present here. It's a wonderful Friday evening, and it's one of the best days and times in my life, and I desperately wait for this evening. Today, I have a little bit of a heavy topic to discuss, right? How many of you have had bad bosses? And if yes, on the chatbot, on a scale of 1 to 10, tell me how bad it was. 10 being the absolute worst, and 1 being angels. See, 5, 8. Come on, any tens there? 5 and 8, that's it. Everyone else has had beautiful bosses. Oh, 25. Thank you, Abhay. All right. Point made. So come closer. I'm about to give you some advice on how you could deal with a bad boss. Right? So let me start with a story. Like everyone else, I've had bad bosses too. And this boss in particular, he was someone who was extremely insecure, someone who did not realize that, hey, there's a difference between being a manager and being a leader. He used really devious ways to ensure that I as a person was not highlighted. I as a person did not get the right opportunities that was truly coming my way. Not that I did not make an effort, but like everyone here, right? My mindset at that point of time was that, hey, I'm not going to listen to anyone. I know I'm good. I know I can do my work. Why the hell should I listen to anybody? Obviously, that mindset did not work out. Now, cut to the chase when in another organization, I met a similar sort of a boss, right? But here, having learned from that experience, I decided that it's the same situation, but I'm going to change my mindset. So, having changed the mindset from, hey, I know I'm worth it, I don't have to bow my head to anybody, I decided, what's the worst that could happen, right? I'll say yes to this person and I'll continue to do what I need to do. He wants me to do things in a certain way. Sure, let's do it, right? He wants me to do not to do a certain things. Why not? But the thought that really changed in my mind is we all think, why should we bow down to somebody who's really being a Hitler? But when we shift that focus away from that person to yourself, that's when you really realize, right? That you're not bowing your head for somebody. If someone is not doing you good, that's perfectly fine. But you are working for yourself. You do what you need to do at that moment so that you can get the promotion and get away from him or her. You do what you need to do in that moment so that you can develop your skill and get another opportunity. You do what you need to do in that moment because no matter how he or she treats you, once your work speaks for you, nobody can question you. The mindset shifts from them to you. So regardless of whether your boss is a benevolent leader or a devious character, right? If you have the right mindset, then there's absolutely nothing stopping you from being successful. And one such benevolent leader is who we have today as our president. Going back to what the latest news, I remember with a lot of pride when I was looking at the news recently and Joe Biden was sworn in as the 46th president of the United States. He had two simple messages. I will work equally for those who support me, and I will work equally for those who did not support me. And that message came with unity, came with peace. The feeling that I had when I saw him take the oath as the president is the same feeling I had when I saw our president take the oath the second time as the president of Bangalore Toastmasters Club. A benevolent leader, a great human being, and beyond all, the president of our club. I hand over the dais to our president, Ayappa Purnachandra. Quick note, ensure that we keep our videos on. You mute yourself and talk only when required. And we do not talk about sex, politics, and religion. Over to you, Ayappa, to take the meeting forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Shabri. Hope I will live up to your expectation. Thank you so much. My dear fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests, a very good evening to all of you. Welcome you all to this wonderful meeting at Bangalore Toastmasters Club. With that note, I declare the meeting number 1255 open. Before I proceed, I request the Secretary, Toastmaster Kamlesh, to read out the minutes of the last meeting. Toastmaster Kamlesh, please.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I would like to give the highlights of the last meeting. The meeting started exactly on time, and main attraction of the meeting was education session by DTM Deepak Justin. And he talked and illustrated one point which really lagged it. He talked that can is public speaking change the life? Yes, it can. There was an attendance of 75 members and guests together, and the best stat player was Amit. Best rule taker was Toastmaster Jashri Younger, and best evaluator was Toastmaster Lalit, and best speaker was Toastmaster Nicole. Thank you, and over to you, President.
Thank you, Toastmaster Kamlesh. Dear members, any amendments to the minutes read? Silence speaks everything. Looks like we're all okay with the minutes. I declare the minutes of the last meeting passed. So we have many wonderful guests in our meeting. We have DTM Matthew from Talk Magic, and we have Abid, Chetana, Rashmita, Prapulla. So what's the protocol we have in Bangalore Toastmasters Club? Let us unmute and welcome each of our guests with a good round of applause. Dear guests, if you need any information with regards to club, please get in touch with your Vice President Membership, Toastmaster Hannah Victoria. The problem is not the problem. The problem is your attitude about the problem. I just love this phrase. This is what the growth mindset is all about. A few years back, our government declared order demonetization to curb black money. And we have reluctant to accept the situation. We were complaining to stand in a queue to get our money from the ATM, to deposit the old currency in the bank. You remember the long queues we used to stand to get the money from the ATM? There were days I used to stand in a queue for more than an hour. But last year, due to COVID pandemic, we stayed indoor for more than a month due to the lockdown. But we are perfectly okay with that. And we did not withdraw any money from the ATM because we were scared about the outspread of the virus. In both the situations, our mindset was different. That means we can always play the game as per choice. We were born with unlimited potential, and we can always adapt a better attitude about our effort and success. At times, I feel like I can't make this better. It's a way as it is. It's all about a perspective. So how I think about it, like how I could make this better. How can I carry this forward? When I start thinking this way, all the roadblock would vanish. I knew aisles would open up for me. Here in Toastmasters as well, sometimes we find evaluation we receive are very harsh and critical. But when we start finding the value in in every bit of the feedback we receive, it transforms the entire situation. This moves us in the right spirit of Toastmasters. If you are here with your mindset, I already know everything I need to know, then it's a time for you to change. How? We are here to enjoy learning and growing. And as you all know, learning is a lifetime pursuit of everybody. I don't say that fixed mindset is bad, but if you'd like to have a powerful life of your choice, it's a time to transform into a growth mindset. Growth mindset is a panacea to transform your life into a new realm. Now, to take this meeting further, we have a gentleman amongst us. He's a what I observed about him is a very good listener, and he's an observant. He observes like anything. He's been at the Bangalore Toastmaster School of the last 4 years. As a Bangalore boy, he is an engineer by profession, working with Robert Bosch. Please join me in welcoming the MC of this evening, Toastmaster Abhay Kothari.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ayappa, for that wonderful speech. And if you've already announced that I observe like anything, I stand a very less chance of interacting with the ladies. So thank you so much again for that amazing introduction and pepping me up so nicely. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to meeting number 1255 of the Bangalore Toastmasters Club. How are you all doing? Give me a thumbs up, please.
Good.
Thank you so much, Surekha ma'am.
Great.
And I hope that you will enjoy your time this evening because trust me, ladies and gentlemen, we have a fabulous lineup planned for the evening. And for the benefit of the guests, the Toastmasters movement was started by a person whose thinking was very different. And his name was Dr. Ralph C. Smedley or Ralph Chester Smedley. He saw young people who were struggling to give a toast. And he thought, why not gather all these young people and start a club, help them to practice? So he started this way back in 1924. The club flourished, and many people began to write to Dr. Ralph about their communication issues. So he thought, why not author a book? Now, can any one of our members tell me what was the name of the first book authored by Dr. Ralph C. Smedley for Toastmasters? No answers? Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, that book was called 10 Lessons in Public Speaking. So if you haven't already checked it out, go and try to find a copy online. And if you can't find it, call me and I'll help you find one. Okay, now I have a special request for all the members today. I want you all to be extremely alert. And the reason being that at any point in time, you will be called on for table topics. Yes, in today's meeting, we have 4 prepared speeches, table topics, and general evaluation. But with the consent of the committee and to break out from the usual style of things, what I've planned for is that we'll have 3 table topics before the start of the prepared speeches, 3 after 2 prepared speeches, and then we'll continue with table topics till we can call on our general evaluator around 8 p.m. And today's general evaluator, ladies and gentlemen, is our very special guest. He will be assisted by a team of evaluators and the GALT team, that is grammarian, R counter, listener, and timer. And our general evaluator, it seems, was a very shy and introvert person. He had tremendous stage fright. He joined Toastmasters about 10 years ago and is a part of Talk Magic Toastmasters Club. He was in a corporate and he was a chartered accountant by training. And now, after 20 years of being in corporate, he has moved into academics and coaching. He consults with the Proctor Gallagher Institute in US, and he advises young people to be more, do more, and have more. Now, may I please call on our general evaluator, Toastmaster Matthew Verghese, to explain his role. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Abhay. Well, today we have a lot of things lined up. Table topics going to be spread across like I just learned. So be on your guard. But while you're on your guard, we are also a team of evaluators who's going to keep a watch on you. Now, your president already warned you, saying that you may get some harsh critical comments, but it's all about the mindset. So to give in this harsh comments, we have a team. The timer to begin with. Srijit, can you please come and explain your role, please?
Hello. Am I audible?
Loud and clear, please go ahead.
Yes. There is one thing about time. Good or bad, it always changes. As a timer today, it's my duty to keep track of entire meeting timings, even the speakers, evaluators, table topics, everything. So for today's table topics would be 1.5 minutes. So 1 minute I'll show green card, 1 minute 15 seconds I'll show yellow card, and 1 minute 30 seconds I'll show red card. And speeches, usually it is 5 to 7 minutes. Today we have two icebreaker speech. It is 4 to 6 minutes. So 4 minute yellow, 4 minute green, 5 minute yellow, and 6 minutes red. Similarly for 5 to 7 minutes, 5, 6, 7. I'll be showing green, yellow, red. And evaluation is for 2 to 3 minutes. 2 minutes green, 2 minutes 30 seconds yellow, and 3 minutes red. So that's it from timer. So back to you, sir.
Thank you, Toastmaster Srijit. When you say red, blue, and yellow, are you going to show some cards or something, or what is it going to happen?
I'll share the screen.
Oh, you'll share the screen. Oh, thank you for that confirmation. So please look out for this man. He's the man to go to. You don't want to extend or go beyond. You don't want to see the other side of the light. Thank you, Srijit. Next, we have somebody who's going to do the R counter. Achyuta. Toastmaster Achyuta, can you please come in and explain your role?
Good evening, General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. My role for today is to note down the words and sounds that are used as crutch or pause fillers by anyone who speaks. During the meeting, I will also listen for overused words such as and, well, but, so, and you know. I will also listen for filler sounds including and And I will also note down speakers who repeat a word or phrase such as I, this means, etc. And at the end of the meeting, I will submit my report back to the general evaluator. Back to you, sir.
Thank you, Achyuta. We look forward to your report and we think that we are going to keep you quite busy. Already, I see you already putting in a lot of ticks, so keep going. Next, we have the English professor of this club, Toastmaster Akhilesh, who's going to tell us what he is going to do as a grammarian.
Good evening, General Evaluator, Toastmasters, and guests. As grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all the speakers, listening carefully to their language usage. I'll take note of any improper language usage, as well as any outstanding words, quotes, and thoughts. As a grammarian, it is also my duty to introduce the word of the day. For today's meeting, the word is devious, which means deceptive, tricky. And the example usage of this word is, he is a devious, secret person, and I don't trust him. I encourage all the speakers to make use of the word of the day. I will give my grammarian report and the usage of the word towards the end of the meeting when called upon by the General Evaluator. Thanks, and back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Akhilesh. You did give us a wonderful sentence, but you stopped short of telling us whom you were referring to. Can we ask you to tell us whether it was somebody in your club?
Not in the club. Outside.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Next, we have a very important person who's going to keep a tab on all the proceedings and at the end has a very important role to play. So to explain the role, may I request Toastmaster Rajanna to come and explain, please.
Good evening, General Evaluator and dear guest. A Greek philosopher, Epictetus, says that we have 2 ears and a mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. We have 2 ears and a mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. So this tells the importance of speaking. Speaking, more than that, listening. So this stress the point that how much we have to listen. To me, listening is learning. If you listen, there is so many facts out there, phrases, words which you are not aware of. So I request all the Toastmasters and guests to pay close attention. And at the end, I have special something planned up for you. Over to you, Toastmasters.
Wow. So some gifts coming our way if we play a good listener role. One question that's already could be asked is, who is the Greek philosopher that Rajanna was referring to? If you haven't caught it, please Google and be prepared for that question. Thank you, Rajanna, for explaining that role. With that, this is our team. It is with due diligence that we have selected this team so that we can give you the best this evening. And I hand it over back to our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Abhay.
Thank you, General Evaluator. And ladies and gentlemen, before going on to the next segment, let me take you to the ancient city of Ujjain. Now imagine there is a village outside the city and there is a mathematician who is sitting very sad in his house. And the reason for the sadness of the mathematician is that though he's famous, he's well respected, the headman of his village always mocks him, saying that you may be a great mathematician who the king recommends on economic issues, but your own son does not know the value of gold or silver. Ha ha ha. So the mathematician is absolutely sad and he calls his son, Son, tell me one thing. Which is more valuable, gold or silver? Gold, says the boy. And the father asks him, Then why does the village headman mock me? He calls me in front of all the village elders and tells me, You are a father who neglects his son. I am absolutely sad. Son, tell me why does he do this? So the boy takes his father's hand and leads him into a room and shows him a box full of silver coins. Now you may be wondering, what's the box full of silver coins doing? Is the boy's father thought, has he employed any devious methods? But no, the boy explains that every day before going to the Gurukul, the village headman calls me. He puts out 2 coins in my hand or on his hand and asks me to choose the more valuable one. I always pick the silver coin. Everyone laughs, they tease me, and then I go to the Gurukul. He says, why do you do that then? Why don't you pick up the gold coin? He says, on the day I pick up the gold coin, the game will be over and I will stop earning money. So the boy definitely did think differently. And so I use this story every time I face a problem to think, how can I think this differently? How can I think this differently? How can I think this differently? And believe me, I always end up finding a solution. So now I'll call over Priyanka for a quick 3 table topics. Over to you, Priyanka.
Thank you, Abhay. A very good evening, fellow Toastmasters and all the amazing guests present over here. Let me tell you all, table topic session is considered a not so comfortable session for many. Many of us prefer to be at the back foot than in the front foot. But let me let you all know, this session is a very important session. Important because it helps us train ourselves to quickly gather, organize, and express our thoughts in an impromptu setting. So I request all, when called upon, to please give an attempt. Members, please note, each speaker is given 1 minute 30 seconds, and the timer will raise the green card at 30 seconds, yellow card at 1 minute, and the red card at 1 minute 30 seconds. So let's begin with the session. So the first topic is, do deadlines destroy creativity? Let me repeat, do deadlines destroy creativity? And I would like to call upon Lokesh.
Many years ago, we were going for a function and we were supposed to leave at 7 o'clock in the evening and the function was at 8 o'clock. So as usual, I was ready by 6:45 and I asked my sister, hey, we have to leave at 7. She said, just 2 minutes, I'm getting ready. Just 2 minutes, I'm getting ready. And this 2 minutes, it came 1 hour later. And I was a little anxious. Listen, it takes 45 minutes to go from our home to the function, and then we have to wish it's a wedding function, so we have to be there at the time of the muhurt and so. And we realized that it was getting really late. So after 1 hour, she came out, and she really looked so gorgeous. And that's when I realized that the deadlines, they really. Sorry, Priyanka, could you repeat the topic?
Do deadlines, can you hear me, Lokesh? Do deadlines destroy creativity?
Exactly. Deadlines destroy creativity. So next time your sister, mother, or wife, anyone is taking time to get ready, forget deadlines. Over to you, the dipper topic master.
Thank you, Lokesh. Very well interpreted. Okay, the next topic is, there is never a wrong time to do a right thing. Let me repeat, there is never a wrong time to do a right thing. And I would like to call upon Toastmaster Nazneen.
Thank you, Priyanka, for this lovely topic. There's never a wrong time, right
Wrong time to do a right thing.
time to do wrong time to do a right thing. I never expected to join BTMC. I had always heard about BTMC, definitely. My daughter was the influencer. She was exposed to BTMC and she had a session at BTMC from her college. And at this age, with my work schedule, right from 8:30 to 11:30 sometimes, it is, and go about it. But definitely, this is the right time. I feel there's always the right time. There's no right time to do a wrong. There's no wrong time to do a right thing. The moment you decide that you want to do something, that is the right time. If I decide that I want to do something, now this is the right time. As Confucius has said, that the person who says are both right. And I would like to thank you so much, Priyanka.
Thank you, Nazneen. Thank you so much, Nazneen. Very well said. There is never a wrong time. The next topic is freedom, a myth. Freedom is a myth. And I would like to call upon Toastmaster Dhruv.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So, well, freedom, of course, is a myth, especially when you are living in a society. Like, if you say that you are free, it is basically based upon what the society around you is. You can either deny the society by saying that we are more freer. Like in Indian society, there is a different definition of freedom. In American society, there is a different definition of freedom. But overall, to be able to live in a society and to live our life with the fullest, we have to in some ways restrict ourselves to things. For example, you cannot say that I am free to kill that person or I am free to slap that person. You cannot say that. So so in that sense, freedom is a myth. And the best way to know about this, that why freedom, that what we define freedom is a very vague topic. There is this book which called as Sapiens, which I am currently reading, and it actually is saying that freedom is just a figment of our imagination, which we have created after like millions of years of civilizations which have come so far. So I believe that freedom is a myth, and even that book says so. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you, Dhruv. Very well said. Freedom is our own definition. Over to you, Abhay.
Thank you, Priyanka. You certainly proved that there's no wrong time for starting table topics. Now let's get into the prepared speech session. Our speaker number one is getting started on the dynamic leadership pathway and is presenting the icebreaker. May I please request his evaluator, DTM Sumitra Manmohan, to read out the guidelines. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Abhay. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. The purpose of this project is for the member to introduce himself to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speech. Time manager, please note, it's 4 to 6 minutes. It's back to you, Ajay. Abhay.
Thank you, DTM Sumitra. Now, our first speaker has a belief. And his belief is, aim for the stars and you may end up on top of the coconut trees. One of our most innovative PP Educations, with his speech titled The Three C's of My Life. The Three C's of My Life, Toastmaster Vijay Kalkundri. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for him.
Thank you, Abai, for that introduction. Zig Ziglar once famously said, the three C's of our life are choices, chances, and changes. You have to make a choice to take a chance. Only then your life will undergo a change. The C factor had a very deep impact on our life in the year 2020. It threw a lot of challenges and ups and downs in our day-to-day life. And it required us to be very dubious, not to fall prey to all the challenges that are thrown upon us. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and my dear friends, good evening. So I would like to start with a question. Do you all know where in India is our Indian national flag manufactured? You can type your answers in the chat box. Okay, so exactly. So I see one answer there, which is very close by. The Indian national flag is manufactured at a place called Bengeri in Dharwad district. And Karnataka Khadi Gram Udyog Samyukta Sangha is the only institute which has authorized to manufacture the Indian national flag. And I am part of that fortunate district. I was born in a year when India lifted its World Cup for the first time under the captaincy of Kapil Dev. You are right, that's 1983. I was born to Vasudev, who was a banker, and Jayashri, who was a telecom supervisor with P&T department. Since I had both working parents, my upbringing was mostly by my grandparents, my neighbors, and cocks and hens of the neighboring poultry farm, who were my best friends. So I would like to divide all of my life into three C's. The first C is the childhood. I was born and I was brought up in a place called Bellary, which is around 300 kilometers from here. Bellary, which is known to have two kinds of weathers. One, summer. The second, very hot summer. I spent most of my childhood playing cricket under the scorching sun, watching action-packed movies with my friends in the vacations, and going to exhibitions in the open ground. These were some of the fondest of the memories which they are going to stay with me for the rest of my life. The second C is all about my college life. If you all think we got independence on 15th August 1947, you're wrong. You have to ask a child who is staying with its parent for first 10 to 12 years, for first 18 years of his life. And when he gets the chance to explore the other part of his life in the hostel or college life is when he's able to stretch his arms free and experience the real world. I was one such lucky guy who was able to see the hostel and college life where I had the greatest of the fun what anyone can think of. We had chapati eating challenge where people used to gobble up 25, 26 chapatis at one sitting. There was 24-hour non-stop sleeping challenge where people used to sleep for one day without getting up. And not to forget those horrible birthday celebrations which we used to have at hostels. These were some memories which I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life. And the third important C of my life is the career life. After my graduation, I landed up in Bangalore. And as the saying goes, if you throw a stone in Bangalore, it's either going to land on a dog or a second tribe called software engineers. And I belong to that tribe. I started off my career with a subsidiary of Reliance Industries and then went on to work with a small and a large scale companies until I decided I would take some challenges in my life. I joined a company called Reflection where there were just 2 employees. and went on to go with the e-commerce company where we used to recommend people on what they have to buy. And all of these 3 C's of my life are held together with an important C called clan. That's my family. My immediate family, my friends, my Toastmaster fraternity is what is helping me go strong in all of these my life. So if there is one another C which is going to help me realize my true potential in my career or goal, that's going to be the communication. And where I'm going to see that this Toastmaster fraternity is going to help me nurture my communication skills and my leadership skills. We cannot become what we want to become by being where we are. So I'm sure with so much learnings, what I'm going to take from my Toastmaster fraternity and my near and dear one, I am going to be really beneficial and beneficiary and successful in my future life. And I thank this platform for giving me all of this opportunity. If Toastmaster is a university, then Bangalore Toastmaster is that classroom of this university which gives you the best of the education. And I'm thankful for that, for this wonderful platform. Back to the Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Vijay. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a standing ovation to Vijay. And if you cannot do that, type a capital V on the chat box just to encourage him and show him your love. Please do that. Vijay, after listening to your speech, I realized 2 things. First thing was I missed your icebreaker when you started in the CC manual. And the second time I thought that only humans throw stones at software engineers, but I thought now even the software engineers have started throwing stones. I'm so hurt by this, Vijay. I didn't expect this. All right, now let's move on to our next speaker. Our next speech is also an icebreaker, but on the path of presentation mastery. And since the guidelines have already been read out, I would request the speaker to come on stage. Now, let me give her introduction. Now, this speaker is a business consultant, and that too with a leading MNC. And she also writes articles on business technology consulting. So there is a lot of business in her business. Please welcome with a speech titled, Follow Your Dreams, Toastmaster Zareen Susan George. Round of applause. Zareen, you're on mute if you're speaking. Zareen, you're on mute. We can't hear you.
Yeah, am I audible and visible now?
Perfectly clear, Zareen. Go ahead, please.
You have to dream before your dreams can come true. So said Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. I intend to pursue my dreams, to live a life of my dreams. Fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests, a very good evening to all of you. I'm Zareen Susan George. I was born in Coimbatore on September 14th to a Syrian Christian family. My family consisted of my dad, mom, big brother, and my paternal grandmother, an unusual and a strong personality. The memory I treasure most is that of my grandmother placing me on her lap and proudly announcing to everyone, "This is my baby." My dad was a government bank employee and mom a housewife. When I was 3 months old, we shifted our hometown. We shifted to a hometown, Kochi, the commercial hub of Kerala. We led a very happy, comfortable life in Kochi for many years. I had a very happy childhood where I busied myself in studies, fine arts, and music, and as well as games with the neighbors. My favorite memories are our trip to our vacations in Munnar at my aunt's house. We were in that big Tata tea bungalow. I enjoyed feeding the rabbits and getting chased by the dogs. I top my class every year was and still is passionate about music. I was a voracious reader, and though you may not believe it, was a champion sprinter in my school. No surprise then, I won the Best Student Award in my ninth standard, which didn't mean that I didn't get into scrapes. I nearly lost my life at 6 when I fell into an uncovered septic tank while balancing on the ledge. By God's grace, I thrashed and kicked and climbed out of the water and now live to tell my tale. My idyllic existence was rudely disrupted when my dad took up a job in Dubai when I was in my 10th. Mom and me joined him in 11th standard. Those couple of years in Dubai was a traumatic and painful experience for me. The shift was difficult in many ways. I was only 16, a small town girl thrust into the sophisticated world of Dubai. I struggled in my studies as well as to make friends. No longer was I an idol at the vortex of everyone's attention. I tasted failure for the very first time. However, that experience helped me to come out of my comfort zone and expose me to the world outside. Painful, but very valuable experience. I faced another shift when I moved to Chennai to do my engineering. I was in hostel and outside and staying away from home for the first time. My college and hostel life helped me to mature as a person. I believe that everyone should stay in hostel to grow as a person and to learn how to deal with others. My experience in college was mixed. The good part was I discovered the boys liked me. The bad part was I was ragged. I was royally ragged both by the girls as well as the boys. One thing I found out in college was when my roommates told me I have a sense of humor. You're very funny. Now that really surprised me. I worked in Infosys for 3 years post-engineering, where I abhorred all technical work. I then won a scholarship to do an MBA at the prestigious SP Jain Center of Management, Singapore, Dubai. I count my MBA experience as the best investment of my life. The experience of studying in a world-class institute, exposure to highly developed countries such as Dubai and Singapore, and interacting with eminent and highly learned faculty is the biggest blessing of my life. I've been working as business consultant in MNCs such as Cognizant and Tech Mahindra across multiple geographies such as the US, Netherlands, and Japan. Though I'm a good writer, having published a couple of business technology articles in leading trade magazines, I was a shy and diffident kid and realized my potential for public speaking really late. But once I found out, I decided to join the prestigious Bangalore Toastmasters Club. And here I hope to grow as a speaker and improve my communication skills and personality. I also have a lot of personal dreams that I wish to pursue. As Robert Frost put it, the woods are lovely, dark, and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Thank you. Over to Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Toastmasters. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give her a standing ovation. Or if you cannot do that, please type the letter capital Z on the chat box to show your support to Zareen. Thank you so much, Zareen. And when I listened to your speech, the only proverb that was coming to my mind was change is the only thing that endures in life. All the best to you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, since we have broken the ice, now let's branch out with a few more table topics and call our very lovely table topic master, Priyanka Ranore. Priyanka, over to you.
Thank you, Abhay. Here I am back again, and the topic is hard work versus smart work. Let me repeat, hard work versus smart work. And I would like to call upon Toastmaster Soumya to speak on this topic. Toastmaster Soumya?
I think let's move on, please.
Hi, Priyanka.
Okay. Oh, hi, Soumya. Would you
Sorry.
take this topic? Hard work versus smart work.
Hard work versus smart work. Thank you, and thank you for picking me for this topic. I think that describes my today. Yes, definitely today was planned to be a very productive day, and it indeed was, because I planned my day in a smart way. There was a lot of pending jobs that needed doing, but then I prioritized, and I also wanted to attend today's as a guest. So I made sure that all my work was complete before 6:30, though I was a bit late. And yes, it just completely resonates with my day-to-day. Smart work always wins over hard work. Thank you.
Thank you, Soumya. Very well said. The next topic is peace is fragile. Let me repeat, peace is fragile. And I would like to call upon Toastmaster Suresh Madhavan to speak on this topic.
Peace is fragile.
Yes.
Peace is fragile. Well, I'd kill someone to win the Nobel Peace Prize. The truth is, peace is something which is so intangible and which is defined in so many ways by different people. Peace is actually a state of mind. Some people get tranquil and they can enjoy peace just by shutting themselves up and curling up with a good book. Yet others, the interpretation, for example, if you're living in a strife-ridden country like Syria or Yemen, peace has got an entirely different angle to it. The silence which you get when the sirens are not wailing or the bomber planes are not flying overhead is peace for them. For the privileged few, peace can be interpreted in any way, but for them, for those who suffer in war zones, for people who are oppressed, for people who are trafficked, peace has got an entirely different connotation, an entirely different shade. So peace means different things to different people, and by definition, it means tranquility, but in actual fact, when presented to people, it means something else. So I don't think that there can be a definite definition. You cannot compartmentalize it and put peace into one box. It means different things to different people. That is my take on peace. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Suresh. Very well said. Yes, peace is different for everyone, the definition. We have to find our own peace. Moving on to the next topic. There is always a tomorrow. Let me repeat. There is always a tomorrow. And I would like to call upon Toastmaster Smita Roshi.
Hi, Priyanka.
Hi.
Good evening,
Hi,
Toastmasters. There is always a tomorrow. This topic resonates with the farmers' protest that is going on in our country. And the way, the determination by the farmers. After many times of discussion, when the things are not going in the direction they want it to happen, they are moving in such a way that there is always a tomorrow. And I remember the story when a daughter was, troubling her father to play with her. And so the father somehow wanted to avoid the daughter. So he just saw a world map on the newspaper. So he tore it up and gave to her, telling, I will play with you once you put the world map right. So, and he's continued his reading. So immediately, within 5 minutes, the daughter put the world map together. And he was surprised. And this perplexed look on his face, the daughter could understand why. And then she said, Papa, I don't know where Korea or Japan or India is. But I know where a man's face or nose, lips is. On the other side of the map, there was a man's face. So she put them together. And then it seems she told, when the man became all right, the world became all right. So live as if there is a tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Smita. Very well said. We always have to find a way to get out of any situation. And as Toastmaster Abhay mentioned, we are breaking the monotony. So now it is back to Toastmaster Abhay, the Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Priyanka. Smita, thanks for that Gyan. That was really lovely. Thank you so much. Priyanka, really, piece is really fragile. Okay, now let's move on to speaker number 3, ladies and gentlemen. Speaker number 3 told me he is a Bangalorean by heart, just like me. He was born and raised in Bangalore. He likes Vishnuvardhan. So far, so good. Then he told me he likes Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. I said, wow, that's amazing. Then he told me that he likes crime novels. I said, perfect. And then he told me he loves Italian food. Now I began to wonder, is he really connected with the mafia? Now this person is presenting a speech on the pathway of presentation mastery, a level 1 project called Research and Presenting. And may I call his evaluator, Toastmaster Lokesh, to please read out the guidelines.
So the purpose of this project is for the member to learn or review basic research methods and present a well-organized, well-researched speech on any topic. Time manager, please note the duration is 5 to 7 minutes, and all the best to the speaker.
Thank you, Toastmaster Lokesh. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a tech enthusiast, a tech lover, and someone who might be connected to the Italian mafia, Toastmaster Manjunath, with his speech titled Seek and You Will Find. Seek and You Will Find, Toastmaster Manjunath.
Thank you, Abhay. And I'm not a part of the mafia, I promise you that. Gutenberg invented the printing press 500 years ago, and the world we know changed forever. 500 years later, a company came into existence, and that company transformed the way we access information. This company is none other than Google. Now, Google has this magical ability to give you the most relevant results quickly. There are billions of searches that happen on Google every single day. People like you and I go to Google to find information, to stay abreast of the news and whatnot. Now, Google is available in over 100 different languages. For many people, Google and internet are not two different things. In fact, they're synonymous. They're one and the same. Such is the power of Google. Now, for such a beautiful, such a powerful company, they did not spend any money on advertising or promoting for their brand. That's surprising, right? It was purely through the word of mouth that Google got all its popularity. Would you believe it? That's the truth. Okay. Now, Google is giving us some free information. In this uncertain world, Google is providing us free information to anyone who seeks it. Seek and you will find. But how does Google actually work? How does Google make money? How does Google stay in the front of the race? How does Google able to outperform these devious competitors? How does Google outperform these deep-pocketed competitors? Those are the questions that are going to be answered in today's meeting. A very warm welcome, dear Toastmaster family, and welcome guests. My name is CM Manjunath. Let's discuss Google, shall we? Great. Now, I've broken this Google success down into a formula, and the formula is HIT. So what makes Google a hit? H-I-T. Let's take a look at it. I'm going to share the screen quickly. Let me know if you can see this. Now, Just let me know, give it a thumbs up so that I know that you can see what I see right here.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I have the resources to show you. I told you there are billions of searches, so I can show you the internet that shows that. By the way, this is the company, sorry, this is the website, Internet Live Stats, over 6.2 billion searches. That's for today. That's the number of searches that have happened on Google like today, okay? Now, let's talk about the formula. The first one is called H. H stands for hardware. In this bifurcated world where companies either focus on the hardware bit or the software bit, Google is like a leader in both areas. Yes, they are a great search software company. What they also do is, apart from having a patented, custom designed software program, they also do custom built hardware computers for whatever they do within the company. Okay, so they're a leader in both. And the search engine works with very powerful computer systems. The employees assemble and custom build their computers to crunch the data. Really, these hardware can actually break a complex search query that we input on Google and compare them with a copy of the internet that they have on the index, on their own index. You heard me right. They have the copy of the entire internet. Now, for you to really understand this, you need to know how Google works. So let's quickly look at that. Google, I hope you like the picture. It's a spider. Google is called, the Google software program is also called as spiders, bots, robots, different names, same thing. You know what? When you publish a piece of content on Google, these spiders, Google search engine programs, literally crawl on all those pages and read the content. They not only read the content, they take a copy of that web page, every single web page on the internet. I'm not kidding. And then they take it and store it in their own database. Step number 2, okay? So crawl and then storing. Then in that database, they do all kind of indexing and processing and ranking so that when you go to Google finally and search something, they're able to serve the results. So these are the 4 functions of Google search engine: crawl, store, index and process, and finally serve the results for you on Google search engine. How powerful is that? Now, Google is able to store a copy of the entire internet, and that's how it's able to give you the results almost instantly in a fraction of a second. Imagine if Google were to go looking for that keyword when you search, it would take days for it to crawl and get the information from the internet. So Google doesn't do that. It goes to its own database. Excuse me. So Google has got the most powerful computing system anywhere in the world, literally the most powerful computing network. It's a network on steroids. Okay, what that means is if there is a new search engine that's going to compete with Google, they've got to have like a large funding to build a computer system such as Google. Now that you know how powerful Google's hardware is, let's see how are they able to even make that happen? I mean, how could Google even get so much money? That's what we're going to talk about. I stands for income. So how does Google make its income? Guess what? In September 2020, Google made 46 point some billion dollars as their revenue. And guess what? 80% and more than 80% of that revenue comes from advertising. Yep. Google makes majority of its money through that very targeted, tiny little advertisement that you see on Google when you search buy best laptops, buy best smartphones. You know, those ads, those are your targeted advertisements that helps Google make money. All right, now quickly moving on. Oops. Sorry. Let's share this again. Okay, great. So how does Google make money? Through its advertisement. In August 19th, 2004 is when Google went public. They were able to raise $2 billion. No other technology company had made so much money as a part of its IPO. And Google made it happen because of its ability to show advertisements to the right people. And considering COVID, companies, businesses are moving everything from offline, like TV advertisement and print, to online and digital. because Google has cracked that code to show the right advertisement to the right people, targeting with the right messages, you know what? Google will be great in terms of returning investments on your ad spend. That's what Google does. And last but not least, T stands for the team. Google has a team that is focused on leadership and innovation and grand ambition. Okay, for them, money is secondary. If you think about many companies, the executives and product designers, product managers, they think about how can I make money before they come up with the product. Google thinks otherwise. It's just the opposite. They want to provide the most apt, most powerful solution for the largest of problems. And then, if at all, they think about monetization. That's what makes Google stand apart from the rest of the crowd. And that's how Google succeeds. So people want to work with Google, whether it's from NASA, Bell Labs, America Online, Microsoft, or even Apple. People flock to Google because the environment is great and the focus is on giving great customer experience. It's about solving big problems. That's why Google rocks. Now, there are many things you would have already learned, known about Google, but a couple of things you would have learned in this little meeting, in this speech. What is that one thing that you learned? Please let me know in the comments, in the chat. I'd love to read that and see what you grasp from this. HIT, Google hits with its focus on customer, with its powerful hardware and great way to target advertisement that makes money nonstop. Thank you for the opportunity. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Abhay.
Thank you, Toastmaster Manjunath. Now, I don't know whether Google is a hit or not, but you and your voice and your speech are definitely a hit. So, ladies and gentlemen, give Toastmaster Manjunath a huge round of applause. And to support him, just type a capital M in the chat box. So,
thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. Now, let's go on to the next speech. Speaker number 4 is on the pathway motivational strategies and is presenting an elective project from level 3 called Inspire Your Audience. Now, she is being evaluated by Toastmaster Ankit Kumar. May I please request you to read the guidelines?
Good evening, Toastmasters. The purpose of the project is to practice writing and delivering a speech that inspires others. Timer, please note the time limit is 5 to 7 minutes, and I wish all the very best to the speaker, Toastmaster Surekha.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Now, this speaker lives in people's hearts. She is a bundle of positive energy and motivation. She's a loving grandmother, an excellent cook, as we all know it, a voracious reader, and a brilliant all-around speaker. With her speech titled Nature's Nuggets of Wisdom, please welcome Toastmaster Surekha Jagdale. Over to you.
Thank you, Abhay. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible and visible, loud and clear.
Okay. So good evening, beautiful friends and viewers. The other day when I went on my morning walk, as the serenity of nature filled my soul with peace, a thought suddenly came to me. Nature has so many beautiful nuggets of wisdom to teach us, but only if we are willing to stop, look, listen, and learn. So today, dear friends, I want to share with you 3 beautiful life lessons that nature has taught me, hoping that you would be left inspired as well. And the first lesson that I learned was through my jeweler. The lesson was about building resilience. The teacher was an oyster. The curriculum was dealing with a painful grain of sand. And the outcome, a beautiful pearl. So the jeweler said to me, "Ma'am, sometimes some sand gets inside the oyster shell. And though it is a little grain, it causes it a great deal of pain. But the oyster doesn't blame or complain. Instead, it says to itself, if I cannot remove this painful grain of sand, then let me try to improve upon it. And so it patiently releases the fluid to coat the irritant. And as the years roll by, it finally comes to its ultimate destiny. And as it keeps on depositing layer upon layer of this coating on this uninvited visitor, it transforms it into a pearl of exquisite beauty. So the crucial message that the oyster imparts to us, my friends, is create a beautiful pearl every time life throws an ugly challenge towards you. Look for that opportunity in every devious calamity. And inspired by this, I too decided to respond positively to a nasty situation that was just getting under my skin. Every day morning when I went to the park for a walk, there was this particular policewoman who used to check everybody's temperature. But when it came to me, she glared rudely at me. Simply put, she simply hated me. But then, like that oyster, I decided to deposit layer upon layer of kindness, tolerance, and respect upon her hatred, with the hope that maybe someday she would recognize that her actions were wrong. But friends, let me tell you this, staying patient and calm and respectful in the face of hatred is not easy at all. It requires the stability, the tolerance, and the resilience of an oyster to be able to do that. And then every day morning, I would greet her with a smile and say, "Hey Gidirama, Devardayinda Channagirima." And she would turn her face away in bitter disgust. But as I kept on wishing her day after day for nearly 6 months, one day I was pleasantly surprised when she beat me to it and greeted me with a smile and said, "Hey Gidirama." That day I realized that that painful grain of hatred within her heart had been transformed into a beautiful pearl of cheer and goodwill. And the second lesson I want to talk to you, friends, is about how Mother Nature helped her father explain the difficult concept of death to his 7-year-old son Raju. One day, little Raju came crying from school hysterically because his best friend Surya had fallen from the school playground equipment and died. The father held his son closely and said, "I know how you feel. You are sad, you miss him, and you are afraid. But you know what? You are thinking this way because you are a caterpillar, and you are thinking like a caterpillar also." This broke the child's thought pattern. The father then continued, "Son, a time comes in a caterpillar's life when it thinks that it is going to die, especially when the cocoon begins to wrap around it. But actually, it's becoming from one thing into another. And do you know what it's turning into?" And the little boy replied, "A butterfly, Dad." "And is he more happier now?" "I bet, Dad, he now doesn't have legs to make him tired. He now's got wings that'll carry him to happy places." And then little Raju flashed his $1 billion smile, hugged his dad, and said, "I bet, Dad, Surya is a happy butterfly now." And the third lesson, friends, that I would like to talk to you all about is when I witnessed the giant redwood trees of California. These trees are more than 15 centuries old. They were 1,000 years old when Columbus sailed. They rise majestically. They are 300 feet tall, taller than a 30-story building. They were standing when the Roman Empire was falling. Now, you might think that these trees are so strong because their roots tunnel deep into the ground. No, that's not the case at all. In fact, they have very shallow roots. Then what is it that keeps them from toppling over when disaster strikes? Stuff like violent earthquakes and massive storms? This is their underground secret. The roots of these shallow trees stretch out and extend to one another and embrace one another. They form a permanent bond. Unity is their strength. And in their own simple way, in their own innocent intelligence, they are caring for each other. Friends, the root of the tree is the heart of the tree. And when we extend our hearts to each other in a spirit of care, compassion, and helpfulness, then we too have strength. And then when the storms of stress invade our lives, we are there for each other. So come, my friends, let us build a strong personal support system like the giant redwood forest. So friends, today we learned 3 lessons from Mother Nature. From the oyster, we learned about tolerance and resilience. While from the life cycle of the butterfly, we learned about the beauty of transformation. And from the redwood trees, we learned about the significance of cooperation and interdependence. So come, my friends, let's make Mother Nature our role model so that she'll equip us with those different mindsets that are required to deal with different situations. And then we are sure to handcraft our life and make it our masterpiece. And as I ask Mother Nature to bless us all, I thank you all for your wonderful attention. Over to Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Surekha ma'am, for those pearls of wisdom wrapped around so beautifully. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to show your support to Toastmaster Surekha, please type one word from her speech onto the chat box or type a capital S.
Thank you.
All right. So now let's continue with our usual round of table topics. And I invite Priyanka to take this forward. Over to you, Priyanka.
Thank you, Abhay. Okay, so let's start again. So the topic is the best way to protect the environment. The best, let me repeat, the best way to protect the environment. And I would like to call upon DTM Rajdeep Manwani. Rajdeep, sir? Is Rajdeep sir there?
You can move on, Priyanka. I think he's not unmuting. You can move on.
Okay. Then I would like to call upon, for the same topic, I would like to call upon Toastmaster Hannah Victoria. Hannah?
Move on. Priyanka.
Huh?
Priyanka, move on.
Priyanka, I am there. Rajdeep Manwani.
Okay. Yes, sir. So the topic is the best way to protect the environment.
I had realized this in my life when I was very young. When my teachers were there, they used to give me this assignment that we had to go around the entire campus. I was a part of a school where they had to water the trees. And then when we used to water the trees and the bushes and the saplings, and after a few days, they used to go and tell us, go and check up how those saplings have grown. And when we used to see those green shoots, when we used to see those yellow flowers, we used to feel so happy. And I realized something in life, that whenever we are responsible for something in life, we generally do something for it. You feel responsible for your family, you'll go all out to make them happy. You feel responsible for your job, you'll go all out to do the best for your job. When we feel responsible for our environment, when we take care, when we attach ourselves to cultivate a small plant, when we attach ourselves to cultivate a small sapling, when we attach ourselves to do something where we are watering anything in the environment, or grow a pond and have some fish and feed them every day, that responsibility leads to you doing that work again and again. So I've realized that if we want to protect the environment, we have to actually see that we are responsibility. Responsibility is the core to saving the environment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Absolutely. It is our responsibility to save the environment. Going on to the next topic. Why it's important to be yourself. Let me repeat the topic. Why is it important to be yourself? And I would like to call upon Toastmaster Alok Sima.
Hi.
Hi, Alok.
You're not yourself. Who are you? Because people keep changing every day, and if you keep changing according to others' wills and whims and fancies, who are you? I mean, there are a lot of occasions when you see your friends. I mean, a friend might call you out for dinner and you're not in the mood to go out there and celebrate. But then to please that friend, you go out and you stop being yourself. You sacrifice what is important for you. Maybe that evening you wanted to sit down and read a good book, but you're going out there and celebrating with a friend, even though your mind and heart are not in it. So what are you doing if you're not being yourself there? You're sacrificing your own interests for a friend. And if you keep doing that for one person today and another person the second day, then ultimately you're denying something for yourself every day. And this message would spread across not just one evening. I mean, it is about your interests, it is about what you want to do in the larger course of your life. And that is where I think it's important to be yourself and understand what you want to do in life and what you want to do. Maybe life is a larger picture, but what you want to do over a period of time so that you are yourself, you are happy, you are satisfied with the efforts. And when you go back to bed in the evening, you can say that word of thanks to God and say, okay, I have delivered my best today and I've been myself and I can live with myself. I am peaceful and my conscience is clear for the day. And I think that is where you have to be yourself. That is one. But again, there are occasions and times when maybe, just maybe you have to compromise on your interest a little bit on the larger interest. Like Rajdeep sir mentioned previously, maybe your family is looking forward to something from you. Maybe they are your kith and kin and you share a bond with them. Maybe there is that little bit of a sacrifice that you need to do once in a while to keep your family going, you keep your environment, like Rajdeep said, peaceful and happy. But then again, that needs to come from within. So what I would like to say is you have to be yourself eventually for you to thrive and for you to stay peaceful in life. Back to you, Priyanka.
Thank you, Alok. Yes, it is as important as to acknowledge others, it's important to acknowledge our own self. Thank you on this, Alok. Okay, the next topic is a road trip. Let me repeat, a road trip. And I would like to call upon a guest Chetana Rajendra. Would you like to take this topic?
Yeah, driving is a pleasure. It gives a me time. I like to go for a road trip because I like to have a me time so that I can have a time to think for myself, introspect myself. So road trip gives me an immense pleasure. Uh, and it's not being a, what is that, what we can say, not a short road trip or driving for a short distance. No, I can tell only that much. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you so much, Chetana. Yes, road trip. Everybody wants that time for themselves, and a road trip is one of the best ways for it. Okay, moving on to the next topic. Can failures teach us important lessons in life? Let me repeat. Can failures teach us important lessons in life? And I would like to call upon DTM Teresa. Teresa, ma'am?
Yes. Can you repeat the topic, please?
Can failures teach you important lessons in life?
Yes. Failures has taught me very important lessons. First and foremost, when I was trying to express my views, I used to stammer. I never used to connect to the topic. And I was blank so many times. And I was thinking, I will never, ever be able to speak, that too in BTMC. Oh my God, when I saw the crowd, all with the suits and pants, and the girls were with the short dress and lovely churidars and wonderful dress, me, gray hair lady, will I do this? No, it's my failure, I thought. And one of my speech did not even meet the guidelines. That day, that was the biggest failure, but I did not keep quiet. There I learned the biggest lesson. I enrolled in other 2-3 clubs and I reached my goal. That day's failure got me DTM. Over to you, Toastmaster, Table Topic Master Priyanka.
Thank you, ma'am. Very well said. Failures teach us a lot in life. Moving on to the next topic, the importance of sports and games. Let me repeat, the importance of sports and games. I would like to call upon Shreyas Johan to speak on this. Shreyas, would you like to take this topic?
Yes, table topic master. Could you repeat that?
The importance of sports and games.
The importance of sports.
Sports and games.
Yeah. Thank you, table topic master. The importance of sports uh, is like other subjects as well. You take up history or geography or any mathematical subject, which gets you thinking. But the real importance of sports is you're adding your theoretical sense, you're adding your basic thinking, knowledge, all to the real life situation. Well, a book can say yes, due to gravity something can fall, but unless you experience it, unless you get hit by a football on the head, unless you really experience that by scraping your hand on the gravel and feeling things, just connecting with mother nature, and I just think that sports does it way more than other books or any other subjects can really correlate to you. Sports adds to life lessons as well. We can see in history there are many self-made athletes, sports persons who are really made it. And in the current time scenario where we see sports law coming up and safeguarding sports persons, enabling them to understand contracts, and we can see a wide range of gender awareness coming to sports, and sports is a subject where people have look it up as related to games as well. There's gaming. There's another person who won a lot of money from gaming and make a career out of it. Well, it's not the traditional method of wherein a total subject can correlate to your success. Games, sports, and a good lunch can all relate to your equal size of happiness. Over to you, table topic master.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shreyas. Very well said. Sports and games teaches a lot. It brings us real-time situations also. Okay, now moving on to the last topic. First impression is the last impression. Let me repeat. First impression is the last impression. And I would like to call upon Sujan. Is Toastmaster Sujan there?
Move on, Shreyas. Move on.
Okay, then I would, Toastmaster Hannah. Victoria, would you like to take up this topic?
Yes, Priyanka. Could you please repeat the topic, please? The first impression is the
last impression.
Okay. A very good evening. Thank you, Priyanka, for that topic. The first impression is the last impression. I beg to differ that the first impression is the last impression, because yes, when you meet a person, you do feel the aura of them, but then it always can change depending on how you interact with them and how they interact with you. It does change over a period of time. The first impression may say, okay, you may feel that they're quite, what do you say, gloomy, or no, but it may not be. They may break out of who they are once you speak to them, and spend time. Time is very important to spend with another person to make up your, what do you say, a rapport with them is very important. So impressions always change. The first impression can never be the last impression, unless you're not going to meet the person again. So and I think the first impression should always you need to be open to it. Maybe first time you don't like them, and then later you go on to like them. So thank you so much for that topic, Priyanka. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Hannah. Yes, very well said. And now we come to the end of table topic session. I would like to hand over the stage now to the Toastmaster of the day. Toastmaster Abhay.
Thank you, Priyanka, for being so patient and agreeing with my plans and going with this bold experiment. Thank you for the lovely topics. Ladies and gentlemen, please give Priyanka a huge round of applause. And to show your support, please type a P in the chat box just to, get Priyanka's encouragement to a high level. So thank you so much, Priyanka. Now we come to now we've had all the fun in our meetings. Now let's come to the learning part, and I invite, without any further ado, our venerable general evaluator, Toastmaster Matthew Verghese, to begin the general evaluation session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Abhay. Beg to differ with you on one little thing. You said now the learning comes. I think the learning has been happening ever since we logged in at 6:30. Beautiful speeches lined up. So many wonderful speakers. So many takeaway messages. And we'll jump into the evaluation straight away. To evaluate our first speaker, Toastmaster Vijay Kalundri, can I invite DTM Sumitra, please?
Thank you, General Evaluator, my fellow Toastmasters, and Toastmaster Vijay in particular. Thank you for that really vivid narration of your life, Vijay. And congratulations on exploring a new path in a territory which you are already familiar with. So my feedback would be based on how you can go beyond your basic skills of public speaking. At the outset, you had structured your presentation really well with the 3 C's of childhood, college life, and career. And you also gave us what made you do it by quoting Zig Ziglar. And you sort of also told us how you've came into Toastmasters because communication is such an important aspect. And you also concluded, saying that, if Toastmasters is the university, Bangalore Toastmasters is a great college, right? The content also was made very interesting with all your vivid descriptions. I like the way you brought in the way connected the place where you were born in, and rightly so, because we are near this Republic Day is right around the corner. So the national flag had some great connection for us. And, the year you were born in also, cricket is something which everyone connects with. And you had very little, interesting, little vivid descriptions of the place, Bellary, summer, 2 seasons, summer and very hot summer, how you grew up in that and how you played cricket, and also your college life. Such interesting things you brought out and made us all nostalgic with your chapati eating challenges, the 24-hour sleeping challenges, and all that. And then when it came to career, you put us into a lovely leisurely pace to enjoy your speech. And I found that suddenly you were rushing through your career path, right? That put me a little off guard. How could it have been made better? Firstly, if you had balanced out the content, I think you could have cut out that COVID part and maybe made that opening thing a little crisper. And then the ending structuring, I felt that you should have ended with the quote, "We cannot become what we are by being where we are," because that should be very powerful, and brought in the Toastmaster thing and all a little before. And of course, now that you're at a higher level, the modulation of voice, you could have explored a little more of the modulation of your voice, like maybe, that little naughty part in the college life. And you didn't give us anything about how you met your wife and your family. So maybe because of time constraint. So what you need, you have the confidence, you have clarity, conviction, work on creating a speech that is more balanced, be a little more bold in your voice modulation, and also work on the conclusion. So all the best, Vijay. Looking forward to greater speeches. And that's it. It's back to the general evaluator.
Thank you, ma'am. Well, Vijay, I would just add on to what DTM Sumitra has already mentioned. The the thing that I liked about your speech is I found a pattern all throughout the pattern of three. You first talked about choices, chances, and change. Then you came into your speech and you said childhood. Again, in the childhood, you talked about three things. You said movies, cricket, and exhibition. Then you transitioned into college. In the college, you talked about three things, which was the chapati eating challenge, the non-stop sleeping, and the birthday adventures. Then you moved on to career. I do not know whether it's by default or design. Again, you had a three. So software engineers, then you start off your career in Reliance, and then how you moved into reflection. So that pattern of three being maintained was beautiful. I like that. Secondly, I like the quote that which you started with, and everything else just came as a flow from there. Two things I would like to point out here where you may want to think about. Number one, you said, I would like to start with a question. I would like to ask a question. Don't tell what you're going to do. Just ask the question. And the second thing is, while you talked about choices, chances, and change, and you talked about the childhood, college, and career, see whether there was a way you could link it to what you were saying. What are the choices that you made? What are the chances that you took? And what is the change that you have gone through and what you want to experience? While you did mention that if there could be a one-to-one correlation, that could be, a better way of throwing the punch at me. But overall, I loved it because there was a structure maintained. The flow was very smooth. I got to know about you so much more than I had ever known in the past. And I wish you all the very best. You come from a place called Harvard. That's the king of universities. I used to be there, working in Hubli for a while. Excellent speech. Keep going. Wishing you all the very best. Thank you.
Matthew, so may I take a moment to just announce that the voting link for the prepared speeches and table topics has been shared on the WhatsApp group, and the voting passcode or the general evaluator's magic number is 1221. 1221. I request all of you all to cast your votes for the best speaker and the table topic speakers. Sorry for that miss. Over to you, sir.
Okay, I'll take the blame on me. Maybe I had to announce that, but I was not aware of the code.
No, it was me, sir.
Do we need to wait or shall we go ahead?
I think you could just give us about 10-15 seconds and then we can go ahead.
Sure. So go ahead and please vote. You do not want to miss the chance. You can't vote for the US elections, but there is some place that you can vote. Look forward to that. Right, we'll move on to the second evaluation. To evaluate Toastmaster Zareen, can I invite Toastmaster Aaron to come on board, please?
Thank you, General Evaluator. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and Zareen George in particular. Zareen, firstly, congratulations. It was a marvelous speech. It was a great icebreaker. Personally, I got to know you a lot better than I did. And it was a lovely introduction to who you are and what you've been through. Couple of points, Zareen. I'll first start with what I specifically liked about your speech and what you specifically excelled at. I want to focus on the three ingredients of an excellent speech, which is essentially your ethos, pathos, and logos. Your ethos essentially being your credibility, your trust. You were great. You had the confidence. You gave us life stories. We were able to follow your life. You took us right from your childhood to your parents, your education, to specific incidents, to moving to Dubai, Singapore, your education. So we were able to relate, and you built that ethos throughout along the way. Moving forward to your pathos, the emotional aspect behind it and values. Again, you were confident. I think that the most important part here was that you gave us examples. You gave us the highs, you gave us the lows. You told us about incidents, for instance, in the water, for instance, in college getting ragged. You told us about the positives, winning awards, your success, your MBA, how difficult Dubai life was initially when you moved. So we were able to feel what you felt, and you really built that emotion with us. And lastly, with the logos, and this primarily focuses on the objectives of the speech as well. I feel the speech was very structured. The structure was great. You kept our interest in it. and you overall met the objectives of the speech. So congratulations to that. I think you fulfilled all the three key ingredients of a great speech. Marvelous job. Three things I'd also like to suggest to make this good speech or this great speech an even better speech. One is, I would want to improve or want you to improve on the transition. I feel that sometimes it felt that you were reciting a fact after a fact after a fact, or an incident after an incident. So I would like you to use linkages better. For instance, when you started speaking about your family, you paused, you looked down at your notes, and then you immediately went to tell us the hometown and to the next point in terms of your family, in terms of your baby, in terms of moving. So I would want to use linkages to allow the audience to follow your journey, and not abrupt pauses before moving to the next point. Pitch and modulation. I feel when you spoke about the highs and the lows, you could have altered the pitch and modulation of your voice. I feel you could have done that, especially when talking about the success, winning the award, being a runner, winning those awards, the MBA being a success. At the same time, some of the not so good parts that you've experienced. And lastly, I feel probably just like how I'm running out of time, I feel you may also have run out of time towards the end when focusing on your dreams and goals. I would have liked you to spend a minute and tell us the Zareen of the future and what you're aiming at. Um, I think you reached it right at the end and you gave us a quote, but I wasn't able to know what you're really aiming for, what your future goals are. So thank you. It was a marvelous speech. Congratulations to you, and back to you, Zareen.
Thank you, Aaron. Well, Zareen, that was a kind of valuation that you would get when you are given, the fifth or sixth speech. So while those points were very valid points that Aaron made, from an icebreaker perspective, all that he said is going to happen when you come to your fifth and sixth speech. Now, I'm not sure whether this is your second attempt at it, then Aaron's points are well valid. Otherwise, just take it project by project, and all that he mentioned about is going to be taken care of by itself. Again, I would concur with what Aaron said. The transition was good. We got to know that you were born in Coimbatore. We got to know that you studied in Kochi. Then you went on to Dubai, came back to Chennai. So I got to know a lot about all that you said. You took me through the highs and lows where you said I was, really good. I aced it in school. I aced it in college. But then I went to Dubai and I faced failure. And when you said that, it kind of connected in a way that we all go through failures, and I have experience being in that space. So congratulations on that. Just 2 points I would like to mention before I close. Number one, you said my name is Zareen Susan George. Well, I know that because he had already introduced you as Zareen Susan George. You don't have to repeat something which is already known to me. That you can avoid. Secondly, there were a few distractions. So while I want to compliment you on the fact that even though I thought that there were some lines that you missed, you immediately moved on to the paper and looked, and it appeared smooth and seamless. But there were times when there was a distraction where you were looking to the left and looking to the left. I think it happened twice. What you could do in those scenarios is, even if somebody comes in, you don't have to look there. You continue with your speech. It doesn't matter. In an online setup, you have people running around me. Now, I have my kids running around at this point in time, but you continue to look at the camera and don't look elsewhere and stay focused. These are the only two suggestions. Otherwise, a brilliant speech. Got to know you. You're very confident, very passionate. And finally, that quote, you've got miles to go before you sleep. Yes, I agree with that. In a place like Bangalore Toastmasters, you can only move from strength to strength. I wish you all the very best. Keep going, Zareen. Our next evaluator is Toastmaster Lokesh, who's going to evaluate Toastmaster Manjunath.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, my fellow Toastmasters, esteemed guests, and specifically Toastmaster Manjunath. When I heard the speech title, Seek and You Shall Find, I was wondering, is it a speech on a philosophy? But then I realized that how Manjunath used this title to talk about Google. And that's what we do. Anything we have to search, we talk about Google. So it was a very, I wouldn't say devious, but a very creative title for your speech. So hearty congratulations on that. Really good title. You also talked about HIT hits. So I'm going to base my evaluation based on HITS. So first thing is H, you were really high on energy. So when we look at all aspects of a speech delivery, for example, the energy, enthusiasm. That was really great. We could sense that, we could connect to you. We were smiling because that energy was there. You used the vocal variety really well to emphasize the facts there also. You appeared very comfortable with the topic. The purpose of this project was to research, get the information, and present in a very simplified way where non-techie participants can also understand this way. You were really comfortable with the knowledge that you had. You also cited the right resources on this also. Throughout the entire speech, you maintained the interest of the audience here, and use of gestures was great. One thing you could improve here would be more frequent eye contact through webcam. In a in-person meeting, it's good you can look on left, center, and the right. In an online meeting, people feel more connected when you're looking at the webcam more uh, for a longer period of time. So that would good. Next is I. You had a very interesting information about Google. You had a very good balance between the data and the information, the how it works. You talked about numbers, facts, and figures, the number of searches, and so forth. I also like the use of a mind map technique. It really helps to explain a topic which is really very complex. I was thinking that being a techie, how would I would have done it? And I was trying to compare, like, how would I do that? And I realized that I might have used quite a bit of jargons which you didn't use, which is very great because the key is to explain a topic in a way where people would understand. So that was a very good part. And use of the acronyms like IPR, HIT, that was really great. Now TS is technology simplified. You have really talked in each of your fact. You have seen that what and how. You're given a very good balance of what it is, how does it work, very less use of the jargon. Things that you could improve is you can explain what is indexing. And also when it comes to screen sharing, and you know that Dimer is also doing a screen sharing, then you could have agreed in advance how to do that. Overall, it was really as for spectacular speech, and we look forward for more speeches from you. Over to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Lokesh. Chief Minister Manjunath, you already have another techie evaluating another techie. What will an accountant come and give you? But let me try. Well, I like the fact that you started right from Gothenburg, where you had the start of the printing press, going on to Google and enlightening me that Google is more than 100 languages. I wasn't aware of that. So that's a good information that I take back. You were introduced as a part of the Italian mafia. I do not know why he said that. But then you come on board and say, I'm going to explain this with 3 words, HIT. And then you say, man, this is why he is called the mafia, yeah? HIT. So you are the hitman today, and you brought in HIT as a kind of acronym, very easy to remember. And the energy, the voice, the kind of passion that you brought into, I give you a plus for all of that. Couple of things that I would like to highlight where you could improve. Number one, you said, my name is Manjunath. I want to discuss, shall we? Let us discuss, shall we? You can avoid that totally, because at the end you were rushing up. So all these things you are already introduced, and we know that we are here to discuss. You've been given a slot, so obviously we don't have a choice to say no. It was a rhetorical question, but we don't have a choice, do we? So go ahead with that. Secondly, in your slide you talk about HIT, and then you had resources, but you never touched about resources. Now I'm wondering, why is that resources there? So I'm thinking, okay, now it's 7 minutes, the red light has gone, but he hasn't talked about resources, and I want to know what resources are. I don't want to be left in the lurch not knowing what resources are. So if you're not going to talk about that, take that R out of that slide. And lastly, you talked about 46 billion, 2 billion IPO. I'm wondering, where did you get the information from? Was it from Google itself? Then it would appear to me like, I give you your CV, and then you comment on his CV. You know who he is. So is there a credible source of the research other than Google? So that is something I would have liked to know. At the end, I should tell you that I'm still wondering whether you are working for Google, whether you are their official spokesman, or you're just a curious, reader and researcher like many of us. If you aren't working for Google yet, I'll tell you, please put this on YouTube, tag Sundar Pichai. You stand a good chance to get in there. Thank you, Chief Minister Manjunath. Look forward to hearing more speeches from you. Excellent. Well, now we go to our fourth evaluator, and our Toastmaster Ankit would be evaluating Toastmaster Sureka. Ankit, all over to you.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Inspiring an audience takes a combination of self-expertise, self-confidence, and a clear message that can motivate an audience. And with an inner shell of expertise and an outer shell of motivation, the speaker has achieved it. If I were to mention a few good parts, starting with uh, the entire speech revolved around the title of the speech. By giving right examples about the nature throughout the speech, you made us remember and relate to the topic, that is the title, at every point of your speech. Secondly, you set the expectation of the audience very, very straight by mentioning that I have three lessons to give to you. And that kind of set the right expectations for the audience. The hallmark of a good speaker is to always study the demography of the audience, and you have done your homework very well. Well, today when most of us have become very intolerant and impatient, you shared a lesson of becoming tolerant and resilience. Today, when we are in the cocoon, we are not wanting to come out of our comfort zone, you gave us a lesson or a message that we should always believe in the beauty of transformation. And when we are here in the world of competence and hatred, you gave us a lesson that unity stands the best every time. Moving on, adding your personal story or anecdote added credibility to your speech. Examples from the jeweler to the oyster to the pine trees in California, or Raju, or that angry lady whom you convinced with your love that you shared with her. I believe all these examples from your real life story added a lot of credibility and made your speech come out very trustworthy and authentic in nature. Cherry on the cake, your calm yet very energetic voice added with that beautiful smile that you had throughout your speech. Now, this is very important, and most of the speakers fail to do this, which you did very well, which is you connected several events in the past. For example, you connected the going up, the falling down of the Roman Empire and the coming up of the trees in California. That made the audience visualize history and the timeline very, very well. At the end, you did not fail to summarize the three lessons that we can all take back home. And beyond that, you also did a call to action, which actually will help us take action, uh, having all the lessons that you have shared. If I were to give you a few suggestions, I believe at the very first in the very first example, you started off by saying that the lesson that I got from the story that I'm going to narrate is this. I would suggest you start off with the story and the lesson will come out through the story. Secondly, there were patches where you could have used voice modulation, which could have brought out more importance to the statements that you really wanted to emphasize in. Thirdly, how I wish you could have related the lessons with the situations in the current situation now. The nature has got its way to teach us a lesson. And you could have related with this pandemic. So if I were to condense the evaluation, it was a very beautifully organized speech with clear messages of to inspire the audience and make us respect nature even more. All the best to you, and we are looking forward to listen to you even more in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ankit. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ankit. Toastmaster Sureka, I don't have much to say after what Ankit has said. I think he covered most of the points that I had put in here. But let me try and tell you what I liked about your speech. Well, I thought there was a good structure, the opening body and the conclusion. Because at the outset you said, why don't we just stop, look, listen and learn from nature? Where else do you want to go? Don't go to colleges, don't go anywhere. Just look at nature, and nature has something to tell you. So I knew right away that there is something coming which I'm going to get out of the speech. The second thing, you added three different examples. You talked about the pearl, you talked about the butterfly, and you talked about the pine tree. Again, there was a pattern that you followed, nature giving us three good lessons, and each of them had their own lessons. And finally, the conclusion. Not just you finished with pine tree, but what you did was you summarized the entire thing. Okay, like a teacher would say, okay, class, now what did you learn from all of this? You went and you said that. Being a professor, I love when people tell it. I do it myself in my class. Now, what do we do at the end of this? We've done this, this, and this. So you've done it beautifully. A few things that I want to suggest here is at the beginning, you said, I want to share with you my lessons, like Ankit pointed out. Don't share it. Don't tell them what you're going to say. Just say it, because we know that that's going to follow. Second thing is about the pine trees. Well, while you had that first example where you talked about the angry young woman whom you met when you went for your morning walks, but when it came to the redwood, I think there could have been an example added. Again, Ankit pointed that out. Something that we can take away. Maybe it's the protest that's happening, or maybe it's the politics that's happening, maybe it's the pandemic, or whatsoever. This is a time of caring and sharing. Like, we can bring in our roots together. We can stand united. Imagine what will happen. In that way, you could have added an example with the pine tree. And the third thing, what I thought is you could have done is, there is so much to take that you could have kind of slowed down the pace. Because what you mentioned, every word was worth its weight in something very, very important. So pace it out and see whether you can say less but give more. Check your, cut down a little more words so that you have enough and more time at the end of the 7th minute, wherein we get in a lot. So overall, great speech, loved it. Only one suggestion, ma'am. Next time when you go to this morning walk, and if you happen to meet that angry young lady, please ask her to join Bangalore Toastmasters. It will give her a remedy for anger management, and she'll become a great communicator. And Bangalore Toastmasters, of course, will have a great policy. Yes, we'll have a great member as well. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. A pleasure to listen to all the 4 speeches today, and great evaluation by my...
Thank you for that suggestion. I surely will endeavor to do that.
Thank you. That was more on a lighter note, ma'am, but yes, of course, why not? So we have, now we have the other members of our team who would come in and tell us how the meeting went about. Can I request our grammarian? Let's start with the timer for today. Timer, Toastmaster Srijit, can you come on board and tell us how we did on time?
Yes, thank you, General Evaluator. As usual, we started the meeting on time, 6:30.
Yes.
Speakers, Manjunath took more than his allotted speech. He gone for 8 minutes 47 seconds. All others were within the time. And in table topics, Dhruv, Smita, Alok, and Shreyas, they have crossed 1 minute 30 seconds. And in evaluation, Aaron and Ankit, they have gone more than 3 minutes 30 seconds. All others were within time, and I think Shabri took 4 minutes 30 seconds. That is little more for a Sergeant at Arm, I think. So that's it from my end. Timer report is done.
Thank you, Srijit. Yes, we do have some overlap, some people who saw the other side of the light. But what do you do when you have something very important to say? Do you give, do you look at the timer, or you say, I've got to say something, I'm going to say that. And that's what our panel did. So please excuse our speakers and the evaluators for today. They did a good job, and therefore they did not stop at the time. But next time we'll make sure that we will follow the timing. Thanks, Srijit. For the R counter, can we have Toastmaster Achyuta to come and give us the R counter report, please?
Yes, good evening, Toastmaster, General Evaluator, Toastmasters. So the crutch word /R was used by Toastmaster Ayappa, Abhay, Kamlesh, Srijit, Priyanka, Zareen, Manjunath, Sureka ma'am, Dhruv, Soumya, Smita, the guest Chetana, Toastmaster Alok, Shreyas, and Toastmaster Hannah, and Toastmaster Ankit. Toastmaster Ankit and Toastmaster Hannah repeated the crutch word a lot of times, so you'd have to keep that in mind the next time. And the word "and" was repeated by Toastmaster Zareen, Toastmaster Dhruv, and Toastmaster Smita, where it was not required. Yeah, and that's it for my report. The rest of them were good.
Thank you, Toastmaster Achyuta, for that detailed report. And secondly, more importantly, for sparing me. when the principal speaks, the principal is exempt. That's what I was given to understand in Bangalore Toastmasters Club. So thank you, Achyuta, for that detailed report. We will take cognizance of that and we will try and improve going forward. Next, we have the English professor, Toastmaster Akhilesh. We are looking forward to your report, please.
Yep, the word of the day devious was used by Toastmaster Shabri once, Toastmaster Abhay Kotari once, Toastmaster Manjunath once, Toastmaster Sureka Ma'am once, and Toastmaster Vijay Kulkundri once. Some of the pearls of the words usage today was there's a difference between being a manager and leader, benevolent leader or devious manager. The problem is your attitude about the problem. We can always play the game as per our choice. Learning is a lifetime pursuit for everybody. Be more, have more, do more. Choices, chances, changes. Serenity of nature fill my heart. Stop, look, listen, and learn. We cannot be what we are by being where we are. I couldn't find much of the improper usage, so that's all from myself. Back to you, Children Evaluator.
Thank you, Akhilesh, for that again, for keeping a note on the good use of the language. And thank you to all the participants today for sparing him from giving the second part of the report. You've done a great job. Next, we have the listener. Toastmaster Rajanna, the screen is yours. Go ahead.
Thank you, Toastmaster. So it is time to test our listening skills. So the surprise I had was to ask you all questions based on what was the today's speech and like the words, whatever it is. So all I want from you is a yes or a no based on the statement or the question that I'm going to ask you. I request the speaker to remain silent if the question is about their speech. The first question is, Toastmaster Zareen in a college life was ragged loyally.
Yes.
No.
No.
She was ragged royally, not loyally.
No.
Okay. We'll move on to the next question. So this is one of the lessons that we can learn from nature in Toastmaster Sureka Ma'am's speech. Significance of cooperation and independence. Yes or no? I am getting answer to Chetan. It's a yes. No, no, Chetan. It is no.
No.
May I know the correct answer?
No.
Yeah, if it is no, can you please tell me what is that lesson that we can learn? It is significance of cooperation and independence. It is
humility. You have to be humble.
Yeah?
Humble. You have to be humble and humility.
No, she used the exact, ma'am used the exact word. It is not independence, it is interdependence.
Interdependence.
Yeah. So the next question is, in Toastmaster Vijay Kalkundre's college life, it was paratha eating challenge.
Chapati.
No, chapati.
Yeah, yes, ma'am, correct. Yes, you're correct. So over to you, Master Matthew. This is all that I had.
Professor Rajanna, your questions are really tough. Some of them are out of the syllabus. And at the end, you don't tell us whether it is a MCQ or a detailed answer. So, we are wondering true or false, whatever. But you did a good job, kept a tab on the words, and caught Zareen saying loyally, royally, tongue twisters. Thank you for that wonderful job. Toastmasters, I hope you liked the Tag L team, our timer, our counter, grammarian, and listener. If you've enjoyed them, please vote for them as well. We will come back once again whenever we have the time. Now, that was our team presenting to you the reports of how we fared today. Just to give you an overall flavor, I stand here to tell you, like our president said, we often start on time, and that's what happened today. So the meeting started on time. Shabri came in and started off with a poll even before he said anything. I'm going for a poll, and everybody started typing in. It was so inclusive, Shabri, that you brought everybody right at the beginning. Again, you said, let me start with a story. You don't say that, just start, because we know that's what's going to coming. Whenever you can, try to avoid using the word what the hell and things like that. That's better not to use in a forum like this. And one interesting thing that I noted what you said was you try to get a promotion not because you want a promotion but because you want to run away from the person who is your boss at the moment. So you said if you do not like your boss, work hard, get a promotion, then you don't have to see the rest of him. I'm just wondering what happens if he also gets promoted and you see him the next time around. But beautiful. Thank you very much for that very energetic opening. You set the tone of the meeting. Shabri, can we hear it for him, please? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And then Shabri came up and said, you know what, Joe Biden may be elected there. He's the 46th president. So what? Here we have a president who's serving his second term. And then suddenly you could see Ayyappa who was sitting there, yes, that's me. And you elated. I mean, he felt elated. That's the beauty of how you introduce your president. Coming up every week, tying it up with a recent incident, and you make him come on stage. And ever since he came on stage, Toastmaster Ayyappa, the president of the club, you came up with a beautiful story. And you talked about demonetization, you talked about Corona, compare and contrast the two. And finally, you said that you were standing in hours at a stretch to collect money when there was demonetization. Goes to show that you have deep pockets and a deep bank account. Really pleased to hear that, Ayyappa. Keep up the good work. And then you came up and said, you know what, you're going to have a very harsh and critical evaluation today. I hope we won't be as harsh as he expected and made us look to be. But a beautiful story saying that at the end of the day, what matters is mindset. Not your skills, not your education, not what you bring to the table, but the mindset. If you can change your mindset, everything can change. So very pertinent message to set off the tone by the president. Extremely well done, Mr. President. Thank you for that message. And we have a lot of takeaways from your message today. Can we hear it for our president, please? And then came the Toastmaster of the day, Mr. Abhay Kothari. Started off by saying, okay, you know what? This is the quiz. 10 lessons of public speaking. Before he said that, he said, do you know the book written by Ralph C. Smedley? And then he did not just go ahead. He said, no, let me see who knows it. Come on, type. And then he looks at and said, nobody knows the answer. So you made yourself to be the man who knows everything about Ralph C. Smedley and say, look, you better listen to me because I know more than you. He's written a book and you said 10 lessons of public speaking. And you said, if you haven't read it, go look for it. If you do not look for it, reach out to me. So a beautiful start. You said at the outset, you set the expectations well by saying, look, you know what, we are going to have a little different kind of a setup. And I'm not doing it on my own volition, but I have got the consent of the committee to have the table topics broken down into 3 segments. So I have that backup. I have put this idea to the committee has consented it, and what a beautiful way of doing it, because Toastmasters is all about trying. You come, you fail, you have a license to fail. You tried it out today. Some of them may like it, some of them may not like it. I'll give my comments at the end, but I think that was a beautiful, bold decision that you took to try it out, and congratulations and kudos to you for that. Well, 2 things I want to tell you here, Abhay, is one, when you introduced Priyanka at the outset, right at the beginning, you just said, okay, could we have Priyanka to come and do the table topics? Maybe you could have introduced her a bit, just like you did to just like the Sergeant at Arms did to the president. Maybe you could have given her some adjectives and then brought her to the stage, so she would also come in all charged up. But nonetheless, Toastmaster Priyanka, you were anyways very charged up when you came in. And secondly, you talked about the mathematician. Now, you spoke about the mathematician and you left it at there. I thought that maybe, you could gather some threads and continue that through the speech, interspersing some lessons that we need to take away from the speech. But having said that, I should tell you that you did a marvelous job for one reason, because it was so seamless that we didn't even feel that you were there. And that's the beauty of a Toastmaster of the day. He is there, but still not there. So your presence was not really felt, but it was very wonderfully felt as well. You are there, but still not there. So the transitions were very seamless. You passed on the baton as if, so seamless. So there was a beauty in the transition from your role to Priyanka, even though it happened a couple of times, but I thought it went on beautifully. And kudos to you for that energy that you bring in, for that humor that you bring in. Abhay, you did an excellent job today, and I'm so pleased at your performance. Thank you very much once again. Table topic master, Toastmaster Priyanka, you were cheerful, very, you brought in everybody on board, and your topics were varied. You look at it, it was like you had the pop, you had the ghazals, you had the rock, you had everything mixed together. So your topics were a mixed bag, not necessarily related to the theme. So what? But I think the topics were very easy for somebody to answer, and you encouraged. We had 13 speakers who spoke today, and kudos to you for having conducted that session excellently well. Congratulations once again. Your name will go down in the annals of history because you were the one that they used as a guinea pig to try out this new thing. And congratulations for a job well done. Keep going. Keep, if the first impression is what is to go by, then I'll tell you that you really rocked it today. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Priyanka. Well, I hope I've covered everyone. The secretary report by Kamlesh also gave a good gist about what happened last time. Thank you, Kamlesh, for that as well. Overall, I think we started on time. Maybe we are 5 minutes behind schedule when it comes to concluding the meeting. But other than that, it was a great meeting, good learnings, 4 good speeches, 13 great table topic speeches, each one bringing their own perspective. We had a Tagel role who did an excellent job, a marvelous job, and the speech by the president was the icing on the cake. Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure being with you for the past 2 hours. I wish all of you the very best. And with that, I hand it over back to our ever-energetic Toastmaster, Abhay Kothari.
Wow. Thank you so much for that amazing general evaluation, Toastmaster Matthew Verghese. Can we all give it a huge round of applause for him? And also, I request you to type MVP, most valuable general evaluator or most valuable person in the meeting. So please type in MVP to show your support. All right. Now, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being a lovely audience. I wish you all a very happy weekend and a happy Republic Day in advance. And it's back to our president, Toastmaster Ayappa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Abhay, for taking us through this meeting so brilliantly. Let us unmute and give Toastmaster Abhay a good round of applause. Also, thanks again, Abhay, for the experiment you have brought in mixing up the prepared speeches and table topics to break the monotony. It was amazing. Our heartfelt thanks to DTM Matthew Verghese for taking up your time and to be part of our meeting as general evaluator. DTM Matthew, your speeches, evaluations, table topics are always a treat to listen. Thanks again for being with us.
Thank you.
Let us give a good round of applause to all the speakers, evaluators, and Tagel team. And a quick announcement, from this meeting onwards, if anyone exceeds time in prepared speeches or impromptu talks, we will not be considering them for the awards. And other one is, we have the offline Toastmasters meeting on next Friday at our same old venue, that is Loyola Hall Ashirwad building at St. Mark's Road. Registration links will be shared soon. We will restrict the number to max 50. Time to announce awards now. Best tag team player goes to Toastmaster Akhilesh. Best role taker goes to DTM Matthew Verghese. Best table topic speaker goes to distinguished Toastmaster Dr. Rajdeep. And there is a tie for the best evaluator role between Toastmaster Lokesh and Toastmaster Aaron. And the best speaker goes to Toastmaster Sureka. Congratulations to all the winners. Let us give a good round of applause to all the winners.
Congratulations.
As the saying goes, every good thing should come to an end. So the today's meeting. Every meeting will have a scope for improvement. Let us keep continuing our growth mindset to make our the future meetings more effective. That's it for now. With that, I adjourn the meeting number 1255. Thank you so much. Good night. Good weekend.
Good night. Good night. Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.